What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another movie review. And today we are talking about 2010's How to Train Your Dragon, the animated version. And with the praise and hype that the new How to Train Your Dragon live action has been getting, and it has already made a profit, you know, and it's doing well in theaters, along with Lilo and Stitch, which we saw, I believe, like earlier a month, maybe a month ago at this point. But you know, Lilo and Stitch has made over like $850 million at the global box office with like a budget of like $150 million. So that movie made a boatload of money, so they'll have a big old budget that they can use for their second film. And I'm hoping How to Train Your Dragon is the same thing, because I didn't, you know, watch these back in 2010. I would have been 11 years old when this came out. Maybe I had seen it then when I was a kid, but I definitely hadn't seen 2 or 3, and I maybe had never even finished this first movie. There was parts that I was like, I vaguely remember this, but there was parts that I was like, I don't remember this at all, you know. And but the relationship that Hiccup and Toothless have is just so like heartwarming. And then, you know, the relationship that Hiccup and Stoick, his father, played by Gerard, Butler, you know, like the relationship they end up having. I watched this the night before Father's Day, and if you guys don't know, I lost my father back in 2023, and, you know, having a movie with such a strong fatherhood theme in it kind of, you know, brought some real emotions to me, and I was like, wow, this is really touching. And the cast is actually pretty great. And Baruchel, you would recognize his face, but I think I butchered his last name. But either way, Jay, who voices Hiccup, I think does a wonderful job. There's one line in this movie: "Thank you for nothing, you useless reptile." You know, like, that just is so priceless. Every time you hear it, you're like, yeah, so good. But in the animated version, Craig Ferguson voices Gobber, America Ferrera voices Astrid, Jonah Hill voices SNOUTLOUT, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who plays, I believe, McLovin in Superbad, plays Fishlegs, TJ Miller plays Tough Nut, Kristen Wiig plays Rough Nut, David Tennant voices Spitlot. I don't know, but it's hilarious though that they got as good a cast as this for just an animated movie. And then some of these people, like Gerard Butler's coming back to reprise his role as live action Stoick, which is just hilarious, because, like, you know, he's not necessarily look like Gerard Butler, but that voice, you know, it had to be him. And, you know, Stoick and him are very, you know, he's a Viking and Hiccup's not, and you just gestured to all of me, you know, like. But by the end of the first one, it's really heart-touching, and, like, you know, he doesn't come out unscathed, but neither is Toothless, you know? So it's got so much emotion, but such good storytelling as well. I was like, wow, what a great film. And it was so good that I had to, like, start the second one. I never finished the second one, so don't spoil it for me yet. There will be a movie review coming some point after this one for 2 and 3, and then hopefully I'll be able to take my buddy Langone and his daughter Avery over to the movie theater, and we can check out the live action version and make that a little day. That sounds fun. But the second one has Cate Blanchett in it, and, you know, it brings even more to the story that, like, you didn't think you needed. Like, I would say the first movie's a Father's Day movie, the second one's a Mother's Day movie, and, you know, I won't spoil it further than that, but it brought a lot of emotions, and I had to stop because it was like 1 in the morning, and I was like, I can't finish this movie and it'd be 2 a.m. and I'm just getting to bed. But I'll tell you what, I've been thinking about How to Train Your Dragon for a couple days ever since I seen it. But directed by Deblois and Chris Saunders, who also did things like the original Lilo and Stitch movie and the How to Train Your Dragon movies. Chris Saunders is the voice of Stitch. He's also done other things like Croods, The Wild Robot, which was awesome, The Call to the Wild, with a live action dog, but Harrison Ford, which I never saw, but I heard decent things about. Chris Sanders seems to be more of a voice actor as well as an animator and a filmmaker, where Dean Deblois seems like he's mostly just a writer and a filmmaker, where he's not necessarily acting or voice acting and things as much. But, you know, they kind of teamed up for How to Train Your Dragon, and the same guy, Dean Deblois, is the guy that did live action How to Train Your Dragon. So, you know, I'm sure it's very well done, and How to Train Your Dragon, the first one, was so well done that it seems like they almost need to do like a one-for-one kind of live-action interpretation, where like Lilo and Stitch wasn't necessarily one-for-one. You know, they kind of took some of their own liberties to make it live-action, which they kind of have to in the live-action medium. But I don't know, man. I think the story was so good in the first one that they just had to do it in live action, and you know, maybe that helped. And there was a report that came out that said that the How to Train Your Dragon live action had less of a budget, right? Like it cost less money to make than the live, or than the animated How to Train Your Dragon, which to me just says like the voice actors got paid a lot, and the animation and like the story, coming up with the story, cost a lot of money, right? Like, because that costs money too, you know, coming up with ideas, brainstorming, you know, figuring it out costs a lot of money. Where the live action, if they didn't need to figure out how the story's going to end, they just had to figure out how they were going to do it. Maybe that saved them a lot of time and money. Who knows? But I was shocked to hear that it cost less money than the animated movie. I would have expected the animated movie every day of the week to cost less money than a live action, but oh, either way, How to Train Your Dragon live action has made its money already and has passed its budget, which is just cool. Like, that movies are doing well again, you know? Like, although Thunderbolts didn't make money apparently, even though it got great reviews. Like, I don't even know how that didn't make money. I'm sure it made a little bit, but some reports are saying that it didn't make money, which is just crazy to me. But overall, I gave this film, the animated 2010 How to Train Your Dragon, 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it. I thought it was a really good Father's Day movie, and you know, I really I was touched, and I thought it was great. I thought they did a great job. The voice actors, the story of Toothless. Like, now I've bought in, and I need to now watch this trilogy and then go watch the live action version. But if you're already a fan, or if you're just finding these movies yourself, comment below your thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon, and what are some of your other favorite animated projects. Did you go see the Lilo and Stitch live action? I'd love to hear your opinions and thoughts down in the comment section below. And if you want to talk more How to Train Your Dragon or movies, you can message me in the comments, or you can follow me on my other social medias. Links for those down in the description below. My Letterboxd, Big Cam, 2 G's in the Big, pretty much anywhere. Just look for this face and you'll find me. Thank you guys so much for coming on by. And if you want to support the channel, the best way to do that, liking this video, commenting below, subscribing if you haven't already, hitting that bell so you don't miss future videos and you get the notifications when they come out. And once again, my name is Big Cam, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace!